In the previous session we saw how we could take an empty working copy and add to it using the update command. In this session we're going to look at cutting down a large working copy by removing elements from it. If you're not already in the SVN Guru WC working copy area, then navigate there now. This checkout command is simply going to check out the many ders area from the trunk into a directory called many ders full. This will be our fully populated working copy from which we will trim some elements. Once we've checked out the full working copy, we'll set about removing some of the elements. First of all, we'll remove the entirety of directory 3. Then we will delete the files from directory 1 and the two subdirectories sub1 and sub2, leaving behind just dir1. And we'll perform a similar operation on dir2, removing the two subdirectories sub1 and sub2. Using the file manager we can quickly survey our work, showing that we've removed all the important elements. The reason we didn't remove the entirety of directory 1 and directory 2 was that we wanted to leave behind the hidden .svn directories containing the working copy metadata. In this way the Subversion client continues to see directory 1 and directory 2 as being working copy directories. Now, simply removing the directories and files is not going to achieve a great deal. We can take a look at the condition of our working copy by performing a status command as shown. The results show that the Subversion client sees a great many missing directories and files, those that we've just deleted. So if we now perform an update command on our current working directory, those missing directories and files will be recovered and replaced into our working copy. A quick survey with the file manager once again shows that the files and directories have been replaced in our file system. This is obviously not the condition we want our working copy to be in. We want to arrive at a condition where the various files that we've removed are seen by the working copy as legitimately missing, so that when we perform a status on our working copy, it reports that everything's okay even though these files are missing. So we repeat the deletions as before, removing the directory 1 subdirectories, the directory 1 files, the directory 2 subdirectories, and of course directory 3 in its entirety. So we now have the condition that we had before we did the update. We've manually deleted the files and directories we don't want to be present in our working copy. The question now is, how do we make the working copy remember the fact that we don't want these things to be there? In other words, have it so that when we run the status command it doesn't report them as missing. Changing directory so that our current directory is the root of our working copy, many ders full, we'll do a quick status command to verify that directory 1 is indeed still seen as missing. It's tempting to think that an SVN update using depth empty will confirm to the working copy that directory 1 should indeed be empty. The update command runs to completion and we see that it's up to date at revision 4, no errors are reported, which is what you'd expect. However, repeating the status command on directory 1 we see that the working copy still considers the directories, subdirectories and files to be missing. In other words, the update with the depth equals empty option has had no effect on the way the working copy sees the directory 1. Because we originally checked out directory 1 with its depth set to infinity, the default when you do a checkout, the update command doesn't actually reset the depth when you're trying to set the depth to be shallower than it was originally. If you recall, when we were looking at building up a working copy from the empty version, updating and setting the depth to more depth, in other words adding files and directories into a working directory, worked fine. It doesn't work the other way around. You can't take a directory and set its depth to be shallower than it is at the moment. So, how then can we get the working copy to recognise the fact that directory 1 and directory 2 are wanted as empty directories rather than as all of the files and directories that they contain? The solution is to reset and rewrite directory 1 and directory 2 with the correct depth. To do this, we have to remove the directories in their entirety, and consequently removing the .svn metadata directory. We can confirm that they're gone with the directory, so we see only file 1 and file 2, which are in the root of the working copy. Having cleared out the directories we don't want, we can now do an update, as we did before, and create the directories with the depth set to empty. So in this example, we're updating the root of the working copy such that it's going to add in directories 1, 2 and 3 with their depth set to empty. And this will achieve what we want. Because we're not resetting their depth, we're actually creating directories 1, 2 and 3 anew with the depth set as we want it. A quick survey with the file manager confirms that in fact we have now got a working copy which has had all of the subdirectories removed from the directories 1, 2 and 3. So this leaves us with a trimmed working copy containing just file 1 and file 2 and the root directories directory 1, 2 and 3 within the many DIRs area. This is almost what we wanted. But we need to run the status command to confirm that in fact the working copy now functions the way we expected. Running the status command, we get a blank line back, meaning that the current working copy does indeed recognize the fact that we don't want all of the subdirectories for directory 1, 2 and 3. There's one outstanding issue here. We've restored directory 3, whereas in the original version we'd removed directory 3 in its entirety. The problem is, of course, that in order to remove directory 3 legitimately, we would have to remove the root of the working copy because that's where the information about directory 3 is held. To do that, we'd effectively have to destroy many DIRs full, create it with depth files to create file 1 and file 2, and then manually check out directories 1 and 2 as we did before. So as you can see, removing elements from a working copy is possible, but is more work than creating an empty directory and then building upon it.